Greetings, everyone. I am Michelle Black of Kingdoms Group Enterprise, your moderator. And we have on today our very own Vice President of Speaker Engagement for the Black Business Expo, Ms. Sharon Campbell of Sharon Solution Group, who will interview our next speaker, Mr. Curtis Brooks of Curtis Brooks It's Not Rocket Science Coaching. Mr. Curtis Brooks is a men's life coach, mentor, and speaker. He is no stranger to the forces of trauma and its after effects, which are the triggers. In his message, Trauma, Triggers, and Treasure, he delivers a calculating and faithful blow to the often misguided understanding of how men process and deal with trauma. I present to you Mr. Curtis Brooks and Ms. Sharon Campbell. Genius is coming, and I'll see you on the other side.
Curtis, I have been waiting all
Absolutely.
to hear about these three T's. So start telling us about yourself, how your company came about, and how the three T's was developed to help people in business, in their personal life, and professional.
Absolutely. Once again, welcome everyone. Hi again, my name is Curtis Brooks and I am a men's life coach. My organization is It's Not Rocket Science Coaching, and we work primarily with men. And as a men's life coach, I help men communicate from their brokenness to their wholeness, removing any barriers or any challenges that prevent them from claiming healthy relationships. And as a men's life coach, our goal is to really help men get back on the right track, because oftentimes, because of, as Sharon mentioned, that the title of my presentation is his trauma, his triggers, and treasure. So at the end of this discussion, hopefully we'll share that treasure with you, and you'll find out that treasure is hidden in all of us. So we'll get to that in just a few.
Thank you, Curtis. You know what, when I read what the work that you are doing, I thought about how many men are in business and how many Black men are in business, and how sometimes the trauma can affect when they have to close their doors and they have a family and they have people dependent on them, how
Absolutely.
that affect them. So help us from the business world perspective, which is professional and personal, no matter what industry you're in. How does that help us move us to how does that transfer or to find us our triggers into our treasures?
Absolutely. Yeah, as men and obviously women too, just across the board, but specifically men, we have a tough time communicating. We have a tough time sharing our feelings, and not to mention on a professional level, but to begin, starting with a more personal level. You asked how does it affect our professional lives, and it absolutely affects it in a huge manner, because oftentimes I think as people, we try to compartmentalize different things that are taking place in our life, and we want to put the eggs over here, or put this situation over here, put this situation over here, and just again compartmentalizing those things. But yet we fail to understand that life essentially is a circle.
Okay.
And everything is connected.
Okay.
And so what we're dealing with in our personal lives absolutely will spill over into our professional lives. And because it spills over in our professional lives, the effects can be absolutely catastrophic. It could be life-changing for all of those involved, such as if you are in leadership, management.
Yes.
If an individual is dealing with undealt trauma,
right,
it can affect how they speak to their employees.
Okay.
It can extend to how the management or even the employees speak to the customers themselves. Or, again, it's just a huge circle. Everything touches everything. And again, we have this mindset thinking that things are separate, but the reality is that there's always cause and effect, and sometimes those causes can be hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes those causes can be they don't come. We don't even know that we don't even know that there's been an effect or a trigger, as I like to say,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because we've had certain events that have taken place in our life, and a lot of times we try to bury those things.
Right.
And unfortunately, those things will come back to haunt us in lots of different ways, even to the point of job loss,
Okay.
even the point
When
of
you
not
said
being.
something about this is real quick, job loss. When you
Mhm.
said that, what triggered me was COVID-19 as it
Mm.
affect Black men's income to their families, especially when you own businesses and you're trying to get the PPP loan, when the EID
Right.
loan, and they're asking for all of that, and all that stress and pressure come over you, and you don't know how to release it. So when you said job loss, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I want to hear
Right.
more about that. Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, even in regards to the job loss, COVID is something that we're all dealing with. Just the entire world is dealing with it on just many different levels. Some situations or matters worse than others, but even in the sense of job loss, I think the trauma that we as men are dealing with, again, in most cases, we're the head of our households. We're the breadwinners, if you will, and it can be difficult to see yourself as a breadwinner when you've lost your job due to COVID, or just have not really kind of learned how to pivot in such times as this. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the trauma and the triggers that often come up in life, they can be an absolutely direct result of that. And
Mm-hmm.
again, one of the things with trauma and its triggers is that there's a loss of focus.
Okay.
There's a loss of focus to what the real matter is, because oftentimes for men, we can be faced with something, and now we're yet in a different area trying to talk about another subject
Right.
rather than dealing with the matter at hand. And obviously there may not be time to deal with the particular matters, but it's important to take note of those things that come up so that
Mm-hmm.
you can deal with them, because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes
Mm-hmm.
those are the very things that will come back and bite us.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay. Give us some examples that you could share with the audience, because we are on over 200 countries. We're doing
right,
this 7 days a week, and we definitely want to be able to have somebody have some aha moments. Say, you know what?
right,
I
right,
remember when I felt that way. I didn't know what it was, but now I know what it is. And then give us your information, how, if as a person that feel that they could reach out to you and say, I heard this on the Black Business Network USA.
right.
I need for you to help me process this.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
Mhm.
I'll start with a story, actually. Many years ago as a youth, I received this red bicycle from my parents as a birthday gift. And I was so excited. Didn't know how to ride the bicycle yet, but I was excited because I was ready to, you know, ready to learn how to ride.
Mhm.
And I remember after the first few attempts in riding a bicycle, I had fallen off the bicycle and
Mhm.
scratched up my knee or something like that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I think the last time I had, just got up and hopped back on a bike and continued
Uh-huh.
riding, and he's trying to get the best of it as my father was helping me learn how to ride.
Mhm.
And so he placed me on the seat of the bicycle, and then next, I'm riding and making some progress there. And then, I ran into this, I ran head on to this metal object or something that was in the ground or something like that. And I slid off the seat onto the bar and
Uh-huh.
I was in pain, great pain.
Uh-huh.
And I can remember as a kid, my father, when he came to console me, at least the best way he knew how to console
Mhm.
me, he gave me this look, and he didn't say don't cry, but he gave me this look, and the all out crying that I was once doing turned into just a whimpering. As moms would say to their kids, my mom said, "Boy, if you don't stop that whimpering, if you don't stop."
Yeah, you're like,
Right,
I
right.
can't get it out because you're gonna get me some more.
Exactly, exactly. And so the whimpering lessened and lessened, and it's to the point where it's kind of like that. But
Mhm.
it was from that moment. Again, he didn't say don't cry, but for me, it was from that moment that um, I think I just found myself just uh, a block, if you will, with
Mhm.
having to express myself and crying, or at least
Mhm.
sharing that expression.
Mhm.
And so, as an adult, I grew up having difficulties learning how to express myself in that way.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and I think for all of us, the lack of expression can turn into anger.
Mhm.
Easy.
Mhm.
Whereas that this is the reason why words are so important, because if you don't have the words to express yourself, to
Mhm.
communicate what you're feeling,
Mhm.
it can obviously or absolutely turn into anger. And
Mhm.
that anger is misguided emotions, if you will,
Mhm. Mhm.
misguided expressions. And I'll give you yet another example. I remember years ago, I had this business I was working with. It's called Curtis Brooks Media. It's called Customized Behavioral Concepts. And I was working with the youth, and I had this idea, given one of the young boys there at the program, a piece of paper, and I asked him to wad the piece of paper into a ball there. And I said, as I gave him the paper, I said, what I want you to do now is throw this piece of paper across the room. And he looked at me kind of just like, it seemed like a strange instruction, but he did. He threw the paper. I picked up the paper, took it back to him. After a few times of doing that, took it back to him. And now the next few times, I said, well, what I want you to do, take the same piece of paper and I want you to throw it across the room. But this time I stood in front of him as an obstacle and preventing him from throwing this piece of paper. And as I was watching his reaction, I could see that he was getting a little flustered. He was
Puzzle.
getting,
He was puzzled. He was
he
puzzled.
was
Like, wait a
absolutely
minute, you
puzzled.
blocking my directions.
Absolutely, absolutely. And essentially, I was blocking him from expressing himself.
Mhm.
And because he could not express himself as freely as the first few times as he was throwing this piece of paper across the room, he naturally got upset.
Mhm.
But before he could get into a tailspin with being upset, I stopped it because I wanted him to see. I wanted him to see, because when we can't express ourselves, and though this was a youth, a young man, it's the same thing with us as adults. When we can't express ourselves, or we don't know how to express ourselves,
Mhm.
we can easily disconnect from a reality
Mhm.
and go to a place where there are the triggers now that we're dealing with.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that lack of expression can come from many different areas, such
Mhm.
as I was sharing with you, the story about me learning how to ride a bicycle.
Mhm.
So it was that lack of expression that can bring up anger in all of us.
Mhm.
And so that's just again, a couple examples of how the traumas that we're dealing with, and traumas can be absolutely something that upsets us.
Mhm.
Trauma can be loss of a loved one. Trauma
Mhm.
can also be um, it can be divorce.
Mhm.
It can
Mhm.
be
Mhm.
illness, sickness, injury,
Mhm.
and it can also be something totally extreme as rape, molestation, physical, and
Mhm.
mental, and
Mhm.
emotional abuse.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so all of
Mhm.
these things these experiences are what we call trauma. And the triggers that come from them are the anger, the
Mhm.
loneliness,
Mhm.
the sorry, here, looking at my notes here, the what we call muscle tension. Sometimes we can tense up
Right.
in the midst
Mhm.
of our or the triggers. There's
Mhm.
anxiety as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
Something as simple as going to the store,
Mhm.
or again, for we all deal with trauma differently. And
Mhm.
the interesting thing about trauma is that trauma is subjective.
Mhm.
And because it is subjective, we all deal with it differently, and some big, of all different sizes, essentially.
Right. Right. Oh wow, that is so deep, because what comes in my mind is that When you use those two examples, especially throwing the ball of paper and you stood in
Mhm.
the way, is like an obstacle. And so what I'm
Absolutely.
thinking about for men in business, and I'm not a man, I'm just stating this, the
Right, right.
obvious, that when deals come and someone's standing your way and block you from where you're trying to get to, is how you react to that. Before you were doing so well, and now you're
Mm,
in the midst of negotiation. Someone slid in the way, and you're like, whoa. And then
right.
all these other feelings may come back to here goes something that happened 10 years
Mm,
back, and it triggers the same emotion. So that's what I hear. And the thing is, let's us stop, take a deep breath, and let's deal with this, address it so you
mm,
can move that option out your way and or move around it or find another path toward it, but how to deal with it. And that was a aha moment professional for so many people is how do you deal with these triggers that it has nothing to do with that, but it remind me of that. And so thank you
absolutely.
for sharing. Those are great examples. And
Absolutely.
the other example, you little boy, the look like you don't supposed to say that. You're supposed to cry. You're not supposed to express. You're supposed to,
Right.
he don't supposed to grab you up and say all of this. And now in business deals, it is okay. Um,
Mm,
I have these 20 employees
mm,
that's depending on me and my family.
right.
And I can't sit and cry and be emotional and be upset. And I'm just going to tell you about women. Let's just go ahead and help you out. We call our girlfriends and we talk about
Right.
it to
Right.
damn.
Right.
I remember one of my friends said her husband said, he come home, he don't say nothing about what happened at work. She said, she come home, she said, let me tell you. And he like,
Right.
he had heard the whole story. He said, yes, I'm just going to tell you. She told me the whole story when the time she get in the office to the time she drive up. And he was like, okay, I lived your day for you. And you told me about it. And so it's the way we communicate. And I'm glad you
Absolutely.
mentioned that, is that you are giving people permission to cry, to feel sad,
Yes.
to talk about it, to vent about it, to get it out their system. And being a man does not mean you're not a man because you cry,
Yes.
you vent, and you got it out your system. So thank
Right.
you for that. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Mhm,
Absolutely.
mhm,
Absolutely.
mhm,
Well,
mhm,
it's amazing how these stereotypes have really began to just how they've shaped all of us.
mhm,
You know,
mhm,
and stereotypes are, we know that they're not true, but it's just what a society comes up with as a norm, true or not. But again, it's what a society comes up with as a norm, and the lack of expression, not only, obviously it's not just with crime, but the lack of expression, as you mentioned moments ago, is communication.
mhm,
And so because you can't communicate, it affects so many different areas of our lives. It can affect our level of intimacy from,
mhm,
husband and wife, our, spouse or
mhm,
significant other. It can
mhm,
affect intimacy in a huge way because we're unable to communicate. We're unable to, we can't be at our best. And not only in an intimate level, but also
mhm.
on our jobs.
Oh my
The
goodness.
jobs that we're working, we can't perform at our best. It
Mhm,
affects our creativity.
mhm,
It's just, again, I liken, I guess, the trauma and the triggers that come up with a space that's being filled.
mhm,
And and as long as there's something in that space or that occupies that space, it's difficult to put anything new in that space. It's difficult to permeate that space.
mhm,
Ultimately, we have to give ourselves permission. And I think in the sense of how when we communicate, again, the power of words are hugely important. And coming to that space and accepting, hey, this is where I'm at, but this is not
mhm,
the end. And I think one of the huge components in setting ourselves free
mhm,
and dealing with the triggers, the trauma, we may not be able to erase that.
Right.
And how we deal with the triggers that come from that as a result of the experience or the event that's taken place. It's important to know that that there's really one question that we can ask ourselves,
Okay.
and to help facilitate us wrangling that unseen or that invisible enemy, if you will,
Right.
wrangling it up and drawing it closer to us. And that one question is why? Not why did the other person do this to me, but why am I responding this way?
What? Mr. Curtis, Mr.
And
Curtis, Mr. Curtis. That is a golden nugget. Why
absolutely,
am I responding to this? Mr. Curtis, I think you may have unlocked freedom for so many people. Why
absolutely,
am I responding? That's a powerful statement. Because whenever
right,
you say that and you say it slow,
right,
why am I responding to this? That makes you pause and say, I don't know how to respond to this. Not now, maybe not even tomorrow.
right,
Because it puts the ownership that you are in control of
absolutely,
your response to them. And sometimes a no response is a powerful response.
absolutely.
Thank
Well
you for
said.
sharing that for us. Thank you.
Absolutely,
I'm telling you, I
absolutely,
took that nugget. I mean, I took women. We're gonna glean from the men today from Mr. We're gonna y'all better get it. You better get it because it's good. Oh my goodness.
yeah,
Continue.
absolutely,
You know what? I want
absolutely.
you to tell us how we can reach out to you though, because I know someone have their pen ready. I know that.
Hmm.
So give us your information. I want to get that
Absolutely.
in. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, you can reach out to me through email. The email address is going to be it's not rocket science coaching at gmail.com. Again, that's uh, it's not rocket science coaching at gmail. And the website is going to be it's not rocket science coaching.com. And also you can connect with me on Instagram. And that's going to be it's it's not dot rocket science coaching on
Mhm.
Instagram. Once more, it's not dot rocket science coaching on Instagram.
Thank you so very much. Now let us
Absolutely.
continue with helping free people across these 200 countries that we are airing. We want to be able that when you say this treasurer, because I'm ready for the treasure part now. We,
Mm,
we, we know what's going on with the trauma.
absolutely.
We know some of the triggers. Now you tell us how the treasures fit in now. I can't wait.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sister girls, I know you're going to take this home to Brother Man. If he didn't see it, take it to him. Give him the
Absolutely.
email, the website. Say, honey, slide him that piece of paper.
Well, absolutely. And as I know we're just wrapping it up here, but the treasure part of this discussion is three things that I've kind of put together. And the first is understanding, the second is healing, and the third is the lesson. And
Let me write it
understanding,
down because I'm going to use this. Understanding, okay,
healing, and then
healing,
third, the lesson.
the lesson. Okay. You see, I took my notes, everybody. Okay.
Okay.
I got them. Go ahead.
First, with understanding, I like a quote that I wrote some time ago, and it says, "He who desires to empower and lead others must first understand his own pain."
Put that on your website because I'm going to go and get that. I'm going to steal it, but I'm going to give you credit for it because I like it.
Okay.
Okay. So put it on your
Uh,
website. If I can
and I
get it,
want to
steal it
actually
and
say
give
it
you
again.
credit for it.
Absolutely. I want to say it again because I think this is absolutely powerful because it says again, he who desires to empower and lead others must first understand their own pain. And to understand is to have compassion for others, not to be righteous, but to have compassion for others.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so as we're wrapping it up here, understand, or this treasure is, or accompanies understanding. Understanding is on different levels,
Mhm.
but the highest level of understanding comes healing.
Okay.
And through our understanding, that's how we're healed.
Okay.
And the lesson in all of this is that through the understanding, through the healing,
Mhm.
we take absolute observation of the process.
Okay.
And through the process, we get the lesson. And through the lesson, we get an opportunity to teach and show others how to heal. And
Mm.
that is the future.
And I'm gonna tell you, you got to say that one more time because somebody missed a note. Those three. Now repeat the process because we
Absolutely.
for men that got it. For our ladies that's out there, we got your brothers. We are taking the notes for you, and we're gonna pass it on. Okay, pass it on. But we
Absolutely.
want the household happy. So when we help you be happy, as they all say, when Mama happy, everybody is happy. So let's go
Right,
through that
right,
one more
right.
time with understanding, healing, and listening.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, as Sharon, you just mentioned understanding, healing,
Mhm.
and the lesson. The
The
understanding
lesson,
is,
okay,
yes, the
okay.
lesson is the last one. And again, understanding is because understanding comes in so many different levels, but the healing piece of it comes in the truth that is known, that we know.
Okay. Okay.
And so that understanding provides absolutely healing for our trauma and the triggers and how we deal with them. And the healing piece of it is is taking hold of the understanding and the
Mhm.
ownership that comes with it. That this is mine, and this why is not why they did this to me, but why am I responding to this in this fashion, and
Mhm.
the different triggers that come with it. But the lesson is absolutely the the process that we've gone through, the making of, or being made new again, the renewing of our mind.
Oh, wow.
And so from that lesson, we can garner the opportunity to teach others, because with understanding is compassion. You can't
Oh my goodness.
you can't have healing without understanding,
Okay.
and you can't begin to heal others without the compassion that we in our process have garnered,
Mm-hmm.
because that compassion in the lessons through the process absolutely will spill over in the lives of others, and they'll know that you are healed because you'll begin to speak to them differently, deal with matters differently, unlike
Mm-hmm.
we may have dealt with them before.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the treasure.
And those are teachable things that can be transferred over into your business and to your personal life
Absolutely.
and professional life.
Hmm.
Those are things that you can, as a business owner, and then you can see in your employees or in your customers that you can have that compassion and feel and be able to help them in a calmer manner
Right.
to help them um, start that conversation with, you know what, this person
Yes.
make me feel good, make me feel whole by their calmness of them talking to me. I have a problem, but
Yes.
their tone, and then it
Yes.
starts at even a deeper conversation. It,
Mm.
it moves from what we are talking about in business to how do you get to where you are, your
Right.
calmness. And then you open up the door so you can talk about, you know, finding that inner peace when a customer's upset or when the staff person come in and you can
Sure.
tell something is wrong.
Hmm.
Mhm. And when you have went through the process, it opens the doors for you to help others go through the process. Well, Mr.
Absolutely.
Curtis, that is the treasure, that you are
Absolutely.
spreading the healing across your whole environment, your whole ecosystem. And it
Yes.
doesn't just stop with you. And I thank you for being a part of the Black Business Expo. It has been
Yes.
always a joy and a pleasure to talk to entrepreneurs and people like yourself that give us some grounded work on how to develop ourselves. Because when we develop, I tell people everybody benefits. When you are
Absolutely.
the best of you, everybody
Mm.
benefits. And that's what you have
Yes.
really showed us today as business owners, to come to the table being the best of you. And it's
Yes.
okay to work on you. You gave us
Absolutely.
permission to say it's okay to work on you. It's really okay to work on you. And if you
Yes.
could give us your information this last time, we will appreciate it so very much. And we're going to
Absolutely.
encourage our audience to reach out and touch you.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. And once again, thank you, Sharon Campbell, for helping me out with this discussion, and also Black Business Expo. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure sharing this platform with you and other speakers. My information is going to be, or my email is going to be, it's not rocket science coaching at Gmail. And then my website is going to be, it's not rocket science coaching.com.
Oh, fantastic. Look at Michelle is back. Hey, Michelle. Thank you so very much for this time, Michelle. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so very much, Miss Sharon Campbell. And most of all, thank you so very much, Mr. Curtis Brooks. I have
Absolutely.
two young men in my life, so trust me when I say you have definitely taught me a lot as a mother, because I was one of those mothers, don't you cry.
Right, right,
But
right,
after hearing you, I'm like, oh. Then
right.
I say, okay, I'm going to change it up a little bit. Okay, get it out. Get the crying out. Get it out. All right, now stop. It's okay to
Yes.
stop. Let's move on.
Right.
Michelle, that's a good one. That's good. Mr. Brooks did say that. Let these little boys cry. Okay.
Yes, yes, he did. So again, thank you, Mr. Curtis. Thank you so very much again to you, Miss Campbell. We are so glad to have been provided this great information. And just know that genius is coming, and we will see you on the other side.